And now his whole focus is looking for Sita Devi. Very beautiful description of Valmiki here. How he moves in the dark as a little Vanara and goes from place to place. He reaches Prahasta's palace, hunts for Sita Devi, thought maybe she is sitting in a minister's palace. Then he goes to Kumbhakarna's palace, Vibhishana's palace, Virupaka's palace, Indraji's palace. He keeps going into the palaces of all these royal demons, but he doesn't find Sita Devi anywhere. He is very, very disturbed, gets more and more disturbed, and then he suddenly sees what? This massive palace of Ravana. And do you know this palace of Ravana, how big it was? 8 miles long, okay? 8 miles long and 4 miles wide. Yeah. Much, much bigger than the White House or a Parliament House. And so, such a huge palace of this demon king. And so he goes inside. Kindly mute yourself, please. Yeah. And he goes inside this palace and begins to see. What does he see? He sees this Pushpaka Vimana, this great aerial chariot. He thought the best way to look at this palace, let me jump onto this chariot and then I can get an aerial view and I can watch everything from the top. Nobody will see me. And Hanumanji goes on the top of this Pushpaka Vimana and he looks around. What does he see? He sees hundreds of female demons there. This is after all Ravana's palace. What else do you expect? His whole harem is there. Thousands of these female demons, demonesses are there, and they're all in different shapes and sizes and looks and so on. And he keeps looking at each one of them, looking for Sita Devi. And then he looks and looks, and then he says, he thinks this is not a good thing. You're not supposed to keep staring at other people's women, no? That's considered very bad. And so he feels guilty. Oh, I'm going on staring at all these women. That is not correct. That is wrong on my part. Then he realizes, but you know, it's not wrong. Because none of these women ever can create lust in me. They don't invoke anything in me, and therefore I'm here for a purpose. I'm okay. I can look at them. I have no problem with lust, and therefore it's okay. And he keeps searching for Sita Devi. He relaxes in that understanding and searches, and he suddenly finds this most enchanting of all of them, laying there on Ravana's bed with the royal robes and beautiful embellishments, ornaments, looking so enchanting, so striking. And Hanumanji cannot but just be stunned by her beauty. And he says, this must be Sita Devi. Who else could be so beautiful? And then he says, what a fool I am. How can she be Sita Devi? She's not going to lay here on Ravana's bed and all dressed up like this. Oh, again I'm not thinking properly. And he realizes this is the chief queen of Ravana, Mandodari herself. It was Mandodari whom he mistook as Sita Devi. But Hanumanji is very quick to correct himself, and then as he looks, he finds Ravana laying there on that bed. As he sleeps with his arms wide, he has only one head and 2 arms in the sleeping state. He doesn't sleep with 10 heads. He will need 10 pillows, imagine. You know, nobody can sleep next to him. And therefore, he has only 1 head and 2 arms when Ravana sleeps. But when Hanumanji looks at him, his arms have so much cuts and lacerations and wounds and whatnot. Why? How many fights he has had? How many times Indradeva has thrown that Vajra thunderbolt on him? And the chakra of Mahavishnu and Ravana's body is full of these wounds and whatnot. Is such a ugly looking but big and majestic king of all demons is laying there. Well, he looks and now he recognizes what? You know what? I've seen crores of women here already. They're all sleeping and Ravana is also sleeping. I think I'm looking in the wrong place. Sita will not stay in a palace, so royal a place. I think I'm really, if I don't find her, I'm not returning back to Kishkinda. I will give up my life here. And disappointed, sad, confused, he leaves the palace and begins to stray into other open regions. As Hanumanji moves, it is night time. He jumps from tree to tree, grove to grove, and finally he reaches one grove which he has not yet explored. And he looks at this. It has a very beautiful, what? Archway. And as he enters this grove, he finds there are a lot of female Rakshasis there. The ugliest of the demonesses are sitting under a big tree. Very ugly. Some have one eye, some has one arm, some teeth are really protruding out, and they are big mouth, big stomach. That's considered pretty, okay, for a Rakshasi. But for Hanumanji and for the human world, it was very, very ugly. And this group of Rakshasis were there, and Hanumanji approaches that group, and amidst them all, his eyes fall on this frail, tender, timid human being, a beautiful, ascetic looking, faint looking, divine being he sees, and he immediately jumps onto the tree under which she is sitting and watches the scene from above. He knows, his heart tells him, this is Sita Devi. This is Sita Devi. She stands apart. Mentally, he offers his salutations to her and very carefully now watches the scene from above, from the treetop. And these Rakshasis are troubling her and convincing her how wonderful is Ravana. And in this conversation, she keeps crying and crying. They give her some food, she won't touch food, she won't touch anything from them. She's in a very, very pathetic state. Well, dawn has come and early morning, Ravana arrives. In fact, he arrives at night, not morning, night he arrives. That is when he is the most powerful. He arrives. Before dawn he arrives and talks to Sita Devi. Tells her, so many months have passed. You please understand this, Rama is never going to reach here. He makes it very clear to be practical, teaches her how to be practical. There is no way anyone can come there. He is the king of the universe. He has everything. She can be so comfortable with this Pushpaka Vimana. She has, it's her own chartered private plane. She can go anywhere she wants. None of the other queens will bother. It will be totally dedicated to her. She can have whatever she wants, as many servants as she wants. And thus he again goes on to woo Sita Devi. And she takes a blade of grass, keeping it in front of her. So Trinam Antarataha Kritva, keeping that, she talks to him. That is her protection. And keeping that blade of grass, she says, Nivartaya Mano Mata, I am a Paradara. I belong to another. I belong to Sri Rama. I can never be yours. Move away from me. Ravana is so fed up, so irritated, so angry, and he says, something, I can just eat you up right now. But I am a kind man. I give you 2 more months. At the end of these 2 months, if you don't willingly submit to me, these beautiful women of mine who are surrounded you, they will chop you up, they will pulverize you and make a nice minced meat out of you and present to me for my breakfast. You understand? I give you 2 more months. Make your decision and come to me. And when he is angry, Mandodari has also come with him. And they are worried. And so Mandodari, Dhanya Malini, these are good demonesses. And they take him away from Sita Devi. They guide him out of there because they don't want him to hurt her in any way. And he moves away. Hanumanji is watching this scene. After that, those beautiful Rakshasis, those demonesses sitting there around Sita Devi, they all begin to get annoyed with Sita. They try to scare her. They convince her. They try to talk to her. Hey, you don't understand what you're going to miss. Eka Jata and Vinata and all these demonesses, they try to convince her to marry Ravana. Well, Sita Devi defies them and they say, okay, we need not wait for Ravana to eat her up. We have not tasted human flesh. Let us finish her up. And so they are ready to eat her. And that is when this particular demoness, her name is Trijata. Trijata stops them and says, hey, wait. You cannot do this. I had a dream last night. And my dream showed Sri Rama's victory and Sita's return to him. And therefore, don't harass her anymore. Please leave her alone. And thus, she protects Sita Devi. And Sita, when she hears of this, she sees hope. She begins to see. Hanumanji silently watches this scene. Even though Sita is hopeful with these words, but again it's a demoness talking. There is a part of her that wants to give up life. And so she has a string. She takes that string which is tied, ties her hair. She removes that string and wants to tie it on her neck and go to Yamaloka and finish her life. She begins to pick that string and her left eye throbs. Throbbing of the left eye is considered a good omen for a woman. And so when these signs come more and more to her, Hanumanji also is anxious, wondering how to approach her. He has reached her, but how to approach her? Because she should not think that he is yet another demon, no? And therefore, he thinks he's a wise soul and he decides there is no other way but to describe Sri Rama's glory. Eloquent as Hanumanji was, he begins to describe Sri Rama's glory. And Sita Devi hears this. She looks all over, all around. Where is this coming from? Where is this sound coming from? And she looks, and finally when she looks up, all she sees is a Vanara. It cannot be this Vanara. And she looks away again. But then he comes down. As she meets him in the eye, he comes down and continues to boldly talk about Sri Rama and Lakshmana. Until then, Sita Devi was in awe of him. But once the Vanara comes down, she's afraid again. Maybe this is Ravana in another form. But Hanumanji describes Sri Rama, talks about him as Hanumanji, as a minister of Sugriva, and describes himself as a Duta of Sri Rama. And when Hanumanji does that, describes himself as a Ramaduta, as a servant, as a messenger of Sri Rama, Sita is now convinced. Convinced she is, and she sheds tears of joy. Samartaha tvam prajnastvam vanarottama. I really admire you, but please tell me one thing. You have come from him. Does Sri Rama not love me anymore? Why is it that he has not reached here, come to rescue me? Hanumanji, what can he tell her? He takes that ring which Sri Rama gave him and hands over the ring and says, here, take this, Sita Devi. He does not even know that you are here. He doesn't know you are here. This is a ring he gave. And thus, when she sees that ring, she is really, her heart has melted. Her heart is filled that there is hope of him coming. And she weeps and weeps, tells Hanumanji, bring Sita, bring Sri Rama, bring him to me. And Hanumanji says, well, that is not possible yet. But you know what, don't worry. Oh mother, don't worry. I'll carry you on my back. Come, let me take you on my back. And she looks at him. And she can even bring out a laughter. Why? Because this tiny Vanara says, I will carry you on my back. And so she answers him and says, hey, your proposal shows that you are a Vanara. Your proposal shows you are a kapitvam. You are showing me you're not all that intelligent. How can I come on your back? And then she says, no, this is not possible. Hanumanji says, okay, wait. And he becomes big. Look, this is my size. Now I can carry you on my back. Come, let us go. And Sita Devi says, I'm confident of your strength, your speed, your fearlessness, but I cannot come because you know something? I'm very tender. The speed across the ocean will make me unconscious, or I may fall, or I may die in the waters, or Ravana might follow, or Hanumanji, you may be in danger, or you may have to fight in mid-air. But you know, all these reasons make me feel this is not the way, but the main reason is I cannot willingly touch another male. I refuse to touch or be touched by another male. I will not submit to this being carried by anyone else. And please, I cannot come with you. Hanumanji deeply appreciates Sita Devi's decision and says, okay, then you give me some token for Sri Rama because I'm going to go back to him. Tell me something that I can tell him that I saw you. And Sita Devi gives a message, a very beautiful message, a very tender message. And she says, remind him when we were in Chitrakuta and we were together. We were together one morning after playing in the waters, and we were seated, and you were resting with me when a crow came and began to pick at me. This was an aggressive wild crow, and she went to Sri Rama for help, and he comforted her, and in his arms she slept, and the crow moved away. In fact, they both slept in each other's arms in Chitrakuta. She tells Hanumanji this episode because only they both were there. And as they were sleeping, again this crow came back to harass her and to pick at her. And Rama got up. So annoyed he was, he saw this crow, took a kusha grass and invoked the Brahmastra on this grass and threw at the crow with this mantra, Brahmastra. This crow was chased all over. The crow had to flee from this kusha, from this grass. And finally the crow came and surrendered at Sri Rama's feet to be saved. Brahmastra had worked, but Brahmastra never really works until it hurts that being. And therefore, what happened was, when the crow surrendered, the crow asked for protection. The same Lord protected the crow from Brahmastra and said, it won't kill you, but it will take your one eye away. And since then, the crow can never look with both the eyes. Have you seen? The crow can only look sideways, only one eye at a time. It can see. It cannot see with both the eyes. One eye alone was the drishti possible, the sight possible. Sita Devi says, through her tears to Hanumanji, when for such a small crow he released the Brahmastra, such a big demon king has abducted me. Why has he not reached here? So many months have passed. He has still not come. And please tell him one thing, that I will not live beyond 1 month. I have only 1 more month of my life. I will never wait for Ravana to return. If he does not come to me in 1 month, I will give up my life. Convey this to him. Inquire about their health. Inquire about Lakshmana and let him know, please release me from Ravana. I wait for 1 more month for his arrival. And with this, Sita Devi opens her hair and gives the Chudamani, this beautiful jewel that was given by her father in front of Dasharatha. This Chudamani, this jewel, was given as a gift by her father in front of King Dasharatha, and only Sri Rama, the king, and Janaka saw this gift being given, this beautiful jewel being given. And since then she had always adorned her hair with it, and so she takes that and gives it to Hanumanji and pleads him and says, you alone are dukkha kshaya karabha. You alone are one who can remove dukkham from anybody's life. Once you come into a person's life, the sorrows will be gone. And so Hanumanji assures her, Ma ruda shokena ma bhut manasaha bhayam. Let there be no more fear in your mind. Let there be no more tears in your eyes. And he assures her that I will depart now. We will meet again very soon. and just a little work is left for me. I will finish my work and go. You be assured we will be back very, very soon. Sri Rama will be back very soon. And with this assurance, Hanumanji now makes a decision. Before he leaves, he wants to evaluate the power, the strength of these Rakshasas. He wants to see who Ravana is, how powerful these souls are, so that he can convey the right message back home. And there thus begins verse 74 and 75, which describes the next strategy, the intelligent, brilliant strategy of Hanumanji to reach Ravana. And let us see what he says. Nivedayitva bhignanam pravrittim vinivedya cha.
Nivedayitva bhignanam pravrittim vinivedya cha.
Samashvasya cha vaidehim mardayamasa toranam.
Samashvasya cha vaidehim mardayamasa toranam.
Panchasenagragan hatva saptamantri sutanapi.
Panchasenagragan hatva saptamantri sutanapi.
Shuramaksham cha nishpishya grahanam samupagamate.
Shuramaksham cha nishpishya grahanam samupagamate.
So this is exactly the strategy that Hanumanji played. You have heard in Sanskritam. Next session you will hear in English.